That's to acclimate the troops, the public, the police. That's how they roll that out. Well, with this, you start trying to overthrow the New World Order, arrest the bankers. They start threatening to release. They start hyping bioweapons and terrorism and wars and natural flus. And this thing's clearly manufactured. But again, to only freak out real scientists and doctors at the grassroots to think it's some deadly thing because they've never seen it before. My God, this thing has no pedigree. This is completely manufactured. It's totally manufactured. But excellent article that breaks it down just on the incredible fear-mongering with confirmed 10 to 12 deaths. Different articles say 10, some say 12. And this thing has a 9-day incubation. I've got mainstream articles here where they admit they knew all about it. March 18th, U.S. companies had cultured it. They knew all about it. I guess not cultured, had replicated it. They had identified it. They knew what was going on. They understood it. They knew it was no big deal. They knew people had been sick for months in Mexico with it. There's a regular flu outbreak down there of regular flus that are always killing people in Mexico City. I mean, you know, Mexico City, you're a poor family. They'll let you and your kids just starve to death on the side of the road. I mean, you know, that's going on. So the world comes to a stop. We forget about all the big issues because there's been 12 deaths. But again, why is the government and the media hyping this? Because it gets everything off the front pages and gets you ready for the real deal in the future. Showing you 10 cities right now at prisonplanet.tv. Area flu centers planned if needed. Health unit offers update on swine flu, and it goes into the 10 cities there. That's out of the North Bay Nugget. Now, here's some of the real news that's not getting a lot of attention. This is out of Reuters. Lower Mexico flu death toll heartens nervous world. Mexico cuts suspected flu death toll to 101, but they officially say it's 12. WHO says flu spans 15 countries, 615 people infected. In other articles, they say thousands. U.S. responding aggressively to flu outbreak, Obama. China, it goes on, it says, new laboratory data shows fewer people have died in Mexico than first thought from a new influenza strain. A glint of good news. A glint? It's all good news. From a world rattled by the threat of pandemic flu. Mexico cut its suspected death toll from H1N1 flu to 101, from as many as 176 as dozens of test samples came back negative. There you go. Continuing, a reporter down there up on Infowars.com, federal troops deployed against influenza protesters in Mexico City. And then I went and looked it up because my wife can read Spanish. Went and looked it up. And it is true, the police are going after people locked down in the city of 28 million in the main city, 35 million total metro in Mexico City, those hundreds of square miles there in that valley, surrounded by these mountain ranges. And they need food and water. They've run out. The stores are empty. Stuff is breaking down. The people are starting to protest. And there's the video up on Infowars.com of masses of federales loading up with riot gear to go out and go after them. So they've locked the city down to test a quarantine to control the population. Oh, and here's a key point I keep forgetting to make. This is so important. Listen to me carefully, and please make this point everywhere else. And please make this point when you call the White House. I'm going to give the White House number out coming up later in the show. I want everybody to call them. We're going to call them on air as well. 202-456-1111. And it's this. They said last Sunday in Napolitano, Homeland Security head's briefing, she said to everybody out there, she said, there is no need to shut down the border or shut down the flights or anything because it's already spread everywhere and there's no way to stop it anyways. And besides, a newer, worse flu's coming anyways. Very cryptic. That's on records. Reuters reported it. You can also go online and watch her press conference. Now, you've got that little piece of news there for you. Okay? So we have that little tidbit. Now think about this. They are announcing on Fox and CNN and CBS and everywhere. This is all up on the Infowars.com, prisonplanet.com if you want to see it. They're announcing everywhere that if the outbreak continues and that if level 6 is declared, blah, 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 but level 5 says they can do this with their fraudulent, declarations of tyranny, that they're going to lock down buildings, hotels, cities, states, whatever they want, and that there'll be army blocking those. This is a martial law takeover lockdown drill. Just like New Orleans, they had high and dry roads out of the city for the people to get out, and the army would sit there with the police and on record would shoot people trying to leave. And there's all those famous videos. Oath Keepers actually put one up from Fox, but put together a bunch of clips of it, of them saying they could walk out right now, but they won't let them leave. Well, same thing in Mexico is being beta tested under martial law, as that place is on the verge of collapse. They're using this as a unifying effect. They're saying they're going to lock your towns and cities, potentially, if they want. They're saying we can do this if we want, and politically selling it. Because the public isn't buying the phony boogeyman, terrorists in a cave anymore as the reason to lock down the cities. This is something where we're all guilty. And the government gets to get involved in our lives and tell us what to do and tell us what to put in our bodies, that they're going to come forcibly inoculate us and put us in prison if we don't go along with what they say, quarantine us, lock our cities down. They're already beta testing with hotels and airports and some people's homes in Texas and California. People are on quarantine with police out front, keeping them on house arrest. Setting that precedent, scaring everybody. We're all dead. It's going to get us. It could be the greatest threat of humanity. It could kill tens of millions. Oh, my God, it's all over. We need to be able to lock you down and have martial law. Martial law keeps you safe. Martial law is good. And by the way, there's been 12 deaths confirmed. And by the way, there's only a few hundred people that are sick with it. And by the way, it's not even that bad. But it's no big deal. But it is a big deal. So the border stays open. The airplanes keep flying. But we may have to lock your cities down. And Northcom's running it. And the Army will be on your streets. I mean, do you not see how they're doing this? Do you not see how they're operating? And you can go to this newspaper, El Universal, and listen to the audio, watch the video, read the articles. We've got an English article posted up on Infowars.com. You can go here and read about how their riot police, and you're not seeing this on the news, only bloggers and people are there. I mean, that is big U.S. news. It is in the Mexican news, to be clear. That they're going after the people demanding to not be locked down in the city and demanding that water and food and things be brought into the city. Now, here's an article, not fear-mongering. Sign points to milder swine flu outbreak than once feared. Well, don't tell CNN that. Now, here's Rice, separate issue. When the president approves it, it's not illegal. Same thing Nixon said, same thing Obama's saying. She just said that yesterday. Okay, let me go through the other news. I'm going to give out we're going to call the White House on air. I hadn't mentioned that. I'm going to call the White House myself on air. Coming up in a few minutes. Let me go over the martial law, what they're selling, what they're pushing, why this is so important. And folks, if you're watching this in a month on YouTube when it's got, 200,000 views or whatever, you call the White House too, because they're planning to run this in the fall of the winter. They're even saying it. This is a great training for us to have Northcom and the military take over and lock the cities down and have forced inoculations for your safety when the next deadly flu hits this winter. So you need to call Obama and go, look, Jack, we know what you're doing. We know you're using this as the economy implodes as an excuse to put troops on the streets and bring in martial law and pose as our savior. This isn't working for you and the bankers. We're still going to try to get indictments on the Federal Reserve minions and bring you guys to justice. And Ron Paul's bill to abolish the Fed and his bill getting 87 sponsors now and growing. That was a week ago. I'm sure it's gotten more now. It keeps gaining. To audit the Fed. God forbid we actually look into the private bankers engineering the collapse of the society by design. Now, this is CBS News right here. DHS sets guidelines for possible swine flu quarantine. CBS News. Zoom in on this for me, or they'll say it's not CBS News. Okay, now remember what Glenn Beck and others do. They always say that we're lying about executive orders allowing forced inoculations, roundups, arrest, youth brigades, and all this forced labor brigades. And they always will go back to old executive orders to debunk it. They'll go back to 11,000, 10,000, 12,000 series and then say, that executive order was overturned. Well, yeah, because each new president augments them and reissues them. Here's George W. Bush's. Okay, in effect now, this is CBS News, but see, they play a semantical lawyer game And Popular Mechanics wrote a hit piece on us just 2 weeks ago saying there are not executive orders saying they can have a roundups and FEMA